The internet we knew is gone, and we're the ones who let it die. It was once a realm of limitless creativity, connection, and truth. Now, it's a hollow shell, filled with content that's more algorithm than human, carefully engineered to keep us scrolling, consuming, and frankly, oblivious. Social media, news, videos, so much of it is manufactured, an echo of what used to be real. Every day, the line between real and fake gets blurrier. Posts generated by AI, content curated by algorithms, and videos made without any human touch. It's a loop, feeding us the same, empty material over and over, just different enough to keep us hooked. And we're all scrolling, endlessly, feeling less connected and more isolated with every swipe. What happened? Greed. It all changed when corporations realized there was profit in controlling what we see. They took over the internet, funneled us into apps, and locked us in their digital empires. Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, they're everywhere, and they're shaping our online world with algorithms and AI designed to keep us in line. And here we are, facing an internet ruled by the few, feeding us content created by machines, not humans. It's empty. It's lifeless. And unless we decide to take it back, this is what our digital world will look like. A loop of nothing, trapping us in an endless scroll. The question is, do we want to change it? Or are we too far gone? Let's imagine the internet as a vast, living organism. It's a complex system, a neural network with billions of connections, processes, and interactions constantly happening behind the scenes. Every time you type a search query, scroll through a feed, or click a link, it's like firing a synapse in this living organism. Now this organism, the internet, began with a simple premise, the democratization of knowledge. Its creators wanted to build something that would connect humans globally, facilitate the exchange of information freely, and allow anyone to be a voice in the digital world. Think of the early internet as a blank canvas, teeming with potential. The dream was one of freedom, of open, collaborative spaces where information could flow without restriction, where every voice could be heard, and every idea had a place. But, much like a living organism, the internet's growth was fueled by various external forces. It was fed by users, content creators, businesses, and governments. Over time, just like a body that grows a protective shell or develops stronger defenses, the internet began to evolve in ways its creators hadn't initially anticipated. Big tech companies started to control the lifeblood of this digital organism, laying down vast networks of infrastructure, algorithms, and rules that shaped the flow of information. As the internet became more commercially viable, it started evolving from an open, free exchange of ideas into a more controlled, targeted experience. The original human creators, the ones who wanted the internet to be free and open, became marginalized as the system evolved. Now, the internet is controlled by bots, algorithms, and artificial intelligence. These are no longer just tools. They're part of the living organism, operating beyond human intervention. So let's ask, are we still the creators, or are we just the passengers on a ride that's being driven by these algorithms? What happens when this organism begins to take on a life of its own, driven by its need to grow, expand, and generate profits? Can we still claim agency in a space that seems increasingly governed by invisible forces? Consider the rise of AI-generated content. Imagine an AI that is fed information about what people like, what keeps them scrolling, and what holds their attention. It's constantly learning and adapting, evolving just like a living organism would. But here's the kicker. The creators are no longer necessarily human. A machine is the one deciding what you see, what you click, and what's popular. The system rewards imitation, copying what worked before, and this leads to content that's not created for the purpose of human expression, but for profit. Now picture that you're inside this vast network, not as an observer, but as a cell in this organism, feeding it your attention, your data, and your time. Every click is a tiny contribution to the organism's growth, but it's also your consumption. You are both the fuel and the product. As the internet evolves, its priorities shift from creating meaningful human connections to merely keeping you online for as long as possible. Is this evolution still serving us, or is it simply exploiting us? As more of the content we consume is generated by AI, from videos to news articles, we face a serious question. How much of our reality is still shaped by human hands? Can we trust what we see? What does it mean for us as a society when we no longer create but consume content that's been automated, packaged, and served up to us by an invisible entity? Are we witnessing the death of human creativity online? Or is this just the beginning of a new era where humanity and technology blur into one seamless experience? It's a deep dive into whether we, as individuals, still hold the reins of the digital age, or if the algorithms are leading us, and perhaps the entire internet, towards an inevitable future where human input is nothing more than a footnote in an AI-driven world. Let's talk about AI, not the end-of-the-world stuff, but the real, right-now impact. AI isn't some far-off fantasy. It's embedded in our lives, from the customer service bots to the algorithms shaping your social feed. AI is stepping into creativity's domain, what we thought was our turf. It's generating music, writing, creating art, and some of it's shockingly good. So, what does this mean for us? Are machines actually creative? For centuries, creativity was seen as uniquely human, the power to connect ideas, break the rules, and make something new. But AI, learning from mountains of human-made content, is now churning out music, paintings, and poems that are strikingly lifelike. If a machine can create art that moves us, does it make our own creativity less valuable? Has creativity been reduced to just data and patterns? Some say AI is just a tool like a paintbrush or a new instrument, enhancing our creativity rather than replacing it. It's helping writers get past writer's block, giving musicians fresh sounds to build on. But let's not ignore the flip side. Jobs will disappear. AI can now write articles, design ads, even produce music without human input. As AI gets smarter, copywriters, designers, even software developers may find themselves competing with machines that can work faster and cheaper. This isn't just about jobs, it's about purpose. If machines start excelling in tasks we thought made us special, what's left for us? What does it mean to be human if AI can create, solve, and imagine at a level that rivals our own? And who owns AI's creations? The programmer? The company? Or is it just no one's? We're entering a gray area around authorship and copyright, reshaping the very concept of originality. Are we collaborating with AI to push creativity further, or just spectators watching as machines take over roles we thought were ours alone? In an era where AI blurs the line between human and machine, we have to ask, what's left for us when machines can create just as well, or maybe even better? Should we trust AI to make life-altering decisions? AI is increasingly making calls on everything from credit scores to criminal sentencing, to who gets a job. But here's the real question. Can we trust machines with decisions that shape human lives, or are we playing with fire by giving them this power? Take criminal justice, for example. Courts are now using AI to help with sentencing, predicting whether someone might reoffend to guide decisions. But AI is only as unbiased as the data it's trained on, and if that data carries historical prejudice, it can replicate or even worsen those biases. So, what if the system disproportionately targets certain groups? Rather than bringing justice, it might lock in injustice under a layer of supposed objectivity. One real-world example that captures these ethical concerns is the use of COMPAS, Correctional Offender Management Profiling for Alternative Sanctions, a risk assessment algorithm used in U.S. courts to predict recidivism, or the likelihood that a defendant will reoffend. The intent was to help judges make objective sentencing decisions based on data. COMPAS has shown a clear bias against black defendants, labeling them as high risk at a disproportionately higher rate than white defendants, even when their criminal histories and backgrounds were similar. Imagine being in court, facing sentencing, and learning that an algorithm, one you can't cross-examine or understand, is partially responsible for the judge's decision on your freedom. Studies revealed that black defendants were almost twice as likely to be falsely labeled as higher risk compared to white defendants, who were more often incorrectly classified as low risk. The AI was supposed to be an impartial tool, but instead, it ended up deepening racial inequalities under the guise of fairness. What's troubling here is that Compass's predictions can shape critical life outcomes. The length of a sentence, the chances of parole, and sometimes even the decision of guilt or innocence. And when Compass makes a mistake, who's accountable? Is it the creators of Compass, the courts that rely on it, or the individual who trusted a machine with such high-stakes decisions? This lack of clear accountability puts lives and justice in a gray zone, where people are affected by hidden biases they can't even see. This example highlights how, even with good intentions, AI can reproduce and amplify human biases, turning a well-meaning tool into a digital judge that perpetuates real-world inequality. It's a chilling reminder that when it comes to AI decision-making, especially in areas as crucial as criminal justice, we must be vigilant about the ethical implications and avoid surrendering human judgment to an algorithm. Then there's AI in hiring. Companies are using algorithms to sort resumes and interview candidates, aiming for efficiency and fairness. But if these systems are trained on biased hiring data, they can end up favoring certain demographics, essentially replicating inequalities in the workforce. Instead of leveling the playing field, AI can wind up amplifying old biases. Now let's talk about facial recognition. While marketed as a security tool, this technology has serious ethical flaws. It's often less accurate in identifying people of color and women, raising a serious question. Should we let flawed systems decide who gets flagged as a potential threat? When it comes to marginalized communities, this tech could do more harm than good, fueling discrimination under the banner of security. Then there's the issue of accountability. If AI makes a mistake, say denying someone a loan or misidentifying a criminal, who's at fault? Is it the developer, the company, or the person who trusted the AI? This lack of clear responsibility is a major concern as we hand over critical decisions to machines. Some argue that AI, free from human prejudices, could actually make fairer decisions. In theory, algorithms don't carry the biases, emotions, or stereotypes that people do. But in reality, AI is shaped by humans and mirrors the biases in our society. If we don't address those biases in the design process, AI can end up reinforcing them. So, should we trust AI with decisions that have such serious consequences? The issue isn't that AI is inherently bad at decision-making. It's about the risks in how we build, train, and apply these systems. The pursuit of objective decision-making can lead to unintended consequences, exacerbating inequality and eroding accountability. And here's a deeper question. Can a machine make moral decisions? Morality involves empathy, understanding, and context, qualities that machines just don't have. We can program rules, but can we program understanding? Can machines grasp the real-world impacts of their choices? What we need isn't just more sophisticated AI, but ethical design principles, transparency, accountability, and a focus on eliminating bias. Ethical AI requires collaboration between technologists, ethicists, and diverse communities to ensure these systems benefit society without reinforcing injustice. In the end, the ethical implications of AI in decision-making aren't just about the technology, they're about us. It's about the society we want to build, the values we uphold, and the role we believe AI should play in shaping our future. As AI continues to influence critical decisions, we need to be vigilant, thoughtful, and relentless in our pursuit of fairness and accountability. If we ignore these ethical considerations, we might end up in a world where machines, not people, set the rules. Let's dive into a topic that, despite its quiet presence, has become a powerful force in our daily lives: digital privacy in the era of surveillance capitalism. We're in an age where technology promises convenience and connection, but behind the scenes, a more troubling reality is unfolding. Our personal privacy is slipping away, often without our full awareness or consent. Think about your smartphone. It's more than just a device, it's practically a part of you. From sending messages and navigating to managing finances and health, it's central to your life. But every swipe, search, and tap feeds data into the hands of tech giants. Most of us are unaware of the extent of this data collection, and more crucially, who's profiting from it. Take location tracking, for instance. Many apps quietly track your movements, whether you're using Google Maps, checking the weather, or scrolling social media. But who has access to this information, and for how long? The answer: longer than you'd think. Location data is a goldmine for advertisers, who use it to send you targeted ads based on your movements. If you regularly visit a certain coffee shop, don't be shocked when similar ads start popping up. This isn't coincidence, it's data-driven strategy. Google has become nearly unavoidable. It's the backbone of our email, our maps, our search engines, our videos, even our digital assistants. It's not an exaggeration to say that Google probably knows you better than some of your closest friends or family. But the question is, do you know Google? Imagine you're planning a vacation. You search for flights, check out restaurants, look up hotels, maybe even ask Google Assistant about the best tourist spots. Within minutes, Google has logged every click, tracked your location data, and added these details to your profile. But it doesn't end there. You might think your data is just going to help you get better search results. But with Google's ad network, that same data gets sold to advertisers who are all too eager to pitch you that perfect travel package. And it goes deeper. Google isn't just watching what you search for, it's analyzing how you search. Are you searching for luxury hotels or budget options? Are you curious about nightlife, or are you more into family-friendly spots? Are you taking this trip alone or with someone? These insights let Google build a highly detailed profile of your interests, spending habits, and personal life. It's surveillance capitalism in action. And while Google claims to anonymize data, it has the power to connect the dots. By linking your search history, location data, and even voice interactions with Google Assistant, Google can create a disturbingly accurate map of your life. One that tracks where you go, what you do, and what you're likely to do next. All of this data is not only helping Google tailor ads to you, but also building a virtual shadow of who you are, and it's this shadow that Google sells to advertisers. It's all legal, too. When you agreed to the terms of service, if you even read them, you agreed to this constant collection and profiling. And here's the kicker, it's incredibly hard to opt out. Google's products are so deeply embedded in our lives that even if you disable location tracking or use incognito mode, traces of your activities still make their way back into Google's data stores. Let's not forget what happened with the incognito controversy. In 2020, it came to light that Google's so-called private browsing mode wasn't all that private. The company was sued for still tracking user activity, even in incognito mode, with plaintiffs alleging Google misled users into believing their browsing would remain private. It turned out, however, that even incognito users weren't immune to tracking and data collection. Google's defense? It said users should know they're still visible to websites and ad networks, even in private mode. This case isn't just about a technicality, it's about trust. Google claimed privacy in incognito mode, but kept collecting data anyway, leading us to question whether privacy is even achievable in this ecosystem. It's a reminder of just how much power big tech has over our information and how little control we actually have. And that's the reality of digital privacy today, a complex web of terms and policies where tech companies quietly collect, analyze, and profit from our data in ways most of us barely understand. So, next time you're on Google, scrolling through those search results, remember, it's not just you looking up answers. It's also Google learning about you. But it doesn't end with location. The data collected builds profiles on each of us, our shopping habits, browsing history, social connections, political opinions, even our health concerns. This is surveillance capitalism, as scholar Shoshana Zuboff calls it, where companies profit from personal data without necessarily respecting privacy or informed consent. Beyond tracking habits, AI is now used to analyze emotions. Companies develop algorithms that can interpret facial expressions, vocal tones, even body language to gauge feelings. This technology has uses in everything from customer service to influencing ad targeting, but there are darker applications too. Imagine algorithms designed to predict your emotional response to certain content. With AI getting smarter, we risk becoming targets for emotional manipulation by unseen forces that know exactly what makes us tick. Social media is another critical area where data shapes our worldviews. Every post, like, and comment is a piece of data used to influence what you see next. Algorithms decide what content appears in your feed based on past interactions. This isn't just about showing you relevant ads, it's about shaping your perception of reality. When you scroll, you're not simply engaging, you're being guided by invisible forces to stay online longer and ultimately to provide more data. So, who's really benefiting from this data-driven economy? Primarily, big tech companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon, and Apple, whose business models rely on data monetization. These tech giants have created empires by commodifying personal information, with advertisers, political campaigns, and data brokers also profiting from this valuable resource. But there are risks when data is misused. Consider the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal, where millions of users' data was harvested without consent to influence political outcomes. This was a wake-up call, but it barely scratches the surface of the issue. It raises a deeper question. When did our personal lives become just another product? Should we accept a world where our privacy is valued by everyone but us? Here's the catch. Most privacy policies are dense and confusing, leaving us clicking "I agree" without fully understanding the implications. These terms are often written to be confusing, creating a game of "you signed it," so it's your responsibility, while tech companies exploit this oversight. What does this mean for the future of privacy? Are we destined to live in a world where privacy is a luxury, and our data is everyone's currency but ours? It's a complex question, but we can start by advocating for stricter data regulations, better user privacy protections, and increased transparency from tech companies. Our data should remain ours, with control over its use squarely in our hands. As individuals, we can take steps to protect our privacy, using encrypted messaging, adjusting social media privacy settings, and being mindful of the apps we download. But we also need a cultural shift where, as consumers, we demand respect for our privacy and push back against the commodification of our data. The digital revolution has brought undeniable convenience, but also a new set of ethical questions. Privacy is no longer a simple personal choice. It's about the society we want to build. Do we want a world where every move is tracked, where our emotions are data points? Or do we want a future where privacy is respected and our personal data is treated as our own? Let's talk about attention, not the kind your teacher wanted in class, but something much more complex and valuable. In the vast ecosystem of the internet, your attention has become the most sought-after commodity on Earth. Think about that. Of all the things in this digital universe, it's your gaze, your clicks, and the seconds you spend scrolling that hold the greatest value. Why? Because in this modern marketplace, attention is currency, and everyone's looking to cash in. Now, this might sound abstract, but let's break it down. Imagine engagement as a bustling marketplace where every view, every like, every follow is a transaction. On the surface, it's a system that seems to reward talent, relevance, and connection. But here's the twist. This is not a free market, not really. Behind the scenes, there are forces at work turning this marketplace into something else entirely. You see, attention isn't just measured, it's bought and sold. Platforms track every interaction, curating content to keep you engaged, to keep you consuming. But the players in this game go deeper than just you and me. Enter the bots, artificial engagement engines pumping out likes, follows, and views by the thousands. They're there to inflate numbers, create the illusion of popularity, and ultimately drive profits. When you see a post with thousands of likes, how many are real people? Hard to say. But in a world where numbers equal value, this fake engagement fuels the economy. And this isn't just a random side effect. It's the core of how these platforms make money. Algorithms, programmed to maximize your screen time, take note of what grabs your attention and give you more of it. Like a digital drug dealer, they'll serve up more hits, not necessarily of what you need, but of what will keep you scrolling. This isn't connection, it's consumption. Your behavior is molded to feed a machine that cares more about numbers than nuance, more about clicks than connections. Here's where it gets personal. Every time you click, like, share, or follow, you're casting a vote in this economy. The marketplace of attention grows based on these metrics, and creators, knowingly or not, learn to play to the algorithm's tune. Videos get shorter, headlines more sensational, content less substantive but more clickable, all in pursuit of those precious seconds of attention, seconds that, in aggregate, are worth billions. What's the cost of this attention economy? The commodification of connection. It's the transformation of what could have been a tool for community into a marketplace for consumption. In a space meant for dialogue, distraction is sold as the highest good. So next time you scroll, remember that your attention is valuable, and it's always for sale. Let's take a look at Instagram. Here's a platform that started with a simple idea: share photos, capture moments, connect with friends. Fast forward to today, and it's no longer just your friends' beach photos or latte art. It's a sprawling marketplace where the most successful players are influencers, brands, and yes, bots, all vying for your time, your clicks, and ultimately your loyalty. Let's say you're scrolling through your feed, and you see a post from an influencer. Maybe they're promoting a new skincare product. The post has thousands of likes, hundreds of comments. Seems popular, right? But here's where the attention economy comes in. A closer look might reveal that a chunk of those likes come from engagement bots, fake accounts created solely to drive up numbers. And while the influencer might not even know it, this artificially inflated engagement is crucial. It signals to Instagram's algorithm that this post is valuable, pushing it up in the feed, reaching even more people. Now let's get into the economics of this. Those likes, even if many are fake, translate into value for the influencer. Why? Because brands don't necessarily care if the followers or engagement are real. They care about visibility. With each like, each comment, the post looks more successful, driving more brands to partner with the influencer, funneling more products into your feed, and further commodifying that precious attention. And Instagram's algorithm is right there to help. It's designed not to show you what's meaningful, but what's engaging, what's clickable. The algorithm doesn't care if the post makes you feel fulfilled or connected. It just cares that it keeps you on the app. So it shows you content it thinks you'll engage with, keeping you in the loop, luring you with the next enticing image, story, or reel. As a result, the platform becomes less about connection and more about consumption. Content is designed, filtered, and tailored to appeal to the algorithm, not to foster genuine engagement. And while this might seem like a harmless loop of selfies and brand promotions, it's a self-feeding cycle. Fake likes drive fake popularity, which boosts visibility, which attracts real money. And all of it, every click, every scroll, every second, keeps the marketplace of attention alive and thriving. So when you're scrolling through Instagram, remember, what you're seeing is the surface of a deep, intricate marketplace. And behind every influencer's authentic moment, every brand's targeted ad, and every seemingly popular post, there's a marketplace where your attention isn't just welcomed. It's actively being bought, sold, and resold, all in the name of engagement. As we stand at the edge of an era marked by unprecedented technological influence, we must grapple with the shifting role of creativity, a trait so quintessentially human, yet now shared by machines. What does it mean for art, for culture, when our creations no longer spring solely from human imagination, but from an amalgamation of countless works synthesized by artificial minds? For centuries, artists have held a special place in shaping society's identity, giving voice to ideas that challenge norms and inspire change. Their creations, born of labor, intuition, and vision, have helped form the cultural fabric we share. Now, however, the landscape is drastically changing as artificial intelligence enters this sacred space of creation. Let's consider the recent debate surrounding the rise of AI-generated visual art. Specifically, the case of an AI piece that won a first-place award at the Colorado State Fair's digital art competition. The artwork, created by a man named Jason Allen, was produced using an AI model called Midjourney, a program capable of generating striking and original images based on text prompts. Allen's AI-driven piece, which he openly submitted as an AI collaboration, was met with outrage and applause alike. Many artists, particularly digital artists, felt this was a breach of the art world's unwritten rules. How could a machine, which synthesized vast amounts of art, possibly win an award traditionally reserved for human creativity? Was this truly a work of art, or was it simply a product of cleverly trained algorithms? What made this example so provocative was the underlying question of ownership and originality. Allen's submission was not just a digital image. It was an intersection of human and machine vision, blurring the lines between creator and tool. The controversy didn't just center on the artwork itself, but but extended to the means by which it was created. Many argued that the AI had learned from the collective work of artists worldwide, ingesting techniques, aesthetics, and compositions developed over decades, even centuries. Did Allen's award represent a victory for creativity or a hollow echo of human ingenuity? This incident touches upon the larger question of cultural control. As AI-generated art gains prominence, artists are concerned about being rendered obsolete by machines that replicate their work without understanding or intention. And so this collaborative piece of art becomes symbolic of a deeper shift, a moment when AI, trained on human output, begins to shape human culture in ways we may not fully control. The Colorado State Fair's digital art competition may seem like a small example, but it holds profound implications for the future of creativity. Here, AI was once thought to serve as a simple tool, yet it now disrupts the very institutions and spaces that define human expression. And as we continue down this path, we must ask ourselves if we're prepared to share the creative space we once thought to be uniquely ours, or if this partnership with AI is ultimately transforming our culture into something beyond human design. Concerns about AI's role in art and culture aren't unfounded. Many artists have raised legitimate protests, calling out the use of their own works, unlicensed, often without consent, to train AI systems that now compete with them. They ask, when a machine learns from thousands of artists, absorbing and replicating their techniques, styles, and sensibilities, does it create something new, or does it just recycle the essence of human creativity? And who, in the end, owns that product? This shift leads us into a broader philosophical question of cultural ownership. Throughout history, the control over cultural narratives has been fought over by individuals, institutions, and governments. Now that control is increasingly slipping from human hands. As AI grows more adept at crafting stories, paintings, and music, how much of our shared culture is still directed by human hands, and how much is dictated by the algorithms we built? There's an irony here, too, in that we once believed AI would serve us like an obedient tool, a slave to human purpose. But now, AI not only serves but actively influences, shaping how we see ourselves and our society. Is it possible that this slave is no longer subservient, but has become an equal partner in shaping human culture? We are left to wonder, if machines can create, learn, and even inspire, what then becomes of the uniquely human aspect of creativity? Perhaps we're at the beginning of a new chapter, one where human and artificial minds collaborate to push the boundaries of art and culture. Or perhaps we are on a path toward relinquishing control over the narratives that define our humanity. And if that's the case, then who are we truly, in a world where creativity is no longer exclusive to humans? Today, control over the internet lies in the hands of algorithms, unseen gatekeepers that determine what we see, what we know, and what we feel. These algorithms, fine-tuned to maximize profits and encourage consumption, aren't here to enrich our minds or spark meaningful dialogue. They're meticulously engineered to turn our attention into a commodity, cycling through data until every interaction, every post, every ad has an impact on our thoughts and decisions. What started as a democratic, free-flowing space has morphed into an infrastructure of control, carefully managed by algorithms built for bottom-line efficiency, not human connection. Take TikTok, for instance. It's no secret that the app's algorithm is an incredibly sophisticated machine, designed to keep you scrolling. Its primary goal? To serve you content that captures your attention immediately and keeps it as long as possible. But here's where it gets unsettling. The algorithm doesn't prioritize content that makes you think critically or challenges your views. Instead, it amplifies what it knows you'll engage with, more of the same, a consistent loop of hyper-personalized videos that fit seamlessly into the digital profile it's built for you. Each video isn't chosen by you. It's chosen for you, tailored to your most reactive, most predictable self. Think about the implications here. The content you're seeing is filtered to appeal to your likes, dislikes, and more critically, your confirmation biases. If you engage with one conspiracy theory, the algorithm doesn't just serve you a balanced mix of perspectives. It floods you with similar theories, adding fuel to the fire, creating a distorted reality where those theories feel validated, cementing themselves as the truth. The more you watch, the deeper you go, and the algorithm tightens its grip, further narrowing your exposure to alternative viewpoints. Now imagine this happening on a massive scale. TikTok's echo chambers aren't just influencing individual users, they're shaping entire communities. Trends, beliefs, even political ideologies can be spread and amplified by the algorithm's design. And it's not just people interacting with each other. Bot armies are often in the mix, steering conversations, skewing what trends, pushing certain narratives, and silencing others. This isn't a community-driven platform. It's an arena controlled by digital puppeteers, where bots manipulate engagement metrics, where AI decides what becomes popular and what fades into obscurity. What's left is a curated version of reality, designed to keep us hooked, divided, and ultimately easy to market to. This is the power of algorithms today. Far from being neutral, they are mechanisms of control, subtly shaping culture, beliefs, and behavior, all in the name of maximizing engagement. TikTok isn't just a social media app. It's a case study in algorithmic manipulation, illustrating how our reality is shaped not by our choices, but by the silent, invisible hand of AI, deciding what's worth our attention and what isn't. This power dynamic might feel subtle, even invisible at times, but it's deeply pervasive. Personalization, the method these systems use to shape our online experiences, isn't just a convenience, it's a tool of control. By filtering information and crafting our individual digital landscapes, these algorithms create echo chambers, places where our preferences are affirmed and our biases strengthened. We are shown content that fits our established views, that plays to our existing tastes, that keeps us coming back for more. In this way, personalization not only dictates what we consume, but, over time, shapes our identities, reinforcing habits and beliefs until they feel like certainties. These echo chambers don't just echo our preferences, they amplify them, distorting our understanding of ourselves and each other. And it's not just personalization. In the background, there are the bot armies, digital automatons that have flooded every corner of the internet. They shape trends, build and tear down reputations, and influence consumer behavior in ways that aren't always transparent. The sheer volume of these bots has turned online spaces into landscapes of influence where it's difficult to distinguish real from fake, truth from manipulation. Artificial intelligence, with its constant appetite for attention, pushes us toward a reality designed by patterns, formulas, and statistical probabilities. Our society, our norms, our values, our aspirations, is increasingly molded by this invisible machinery. So we must ask ourselves, are these tools working for us, or are we working for them? The internet once promised freedom, connection, and innovation. But today, algorithms have tipped the scales, subtly guiding our behavior while driving us further into isolation and conformity. If we want to reclaim our autonomy, we must break out of these cycles and remember that our attention, our choices, and ultimately our humanity are worth far more than any click. The internet, once a symbol of boundless potential, a tool for democratizing information and giving power back to the people, now lies in a state of decay. It's a digital wasteland where truth is increasingly elusive, manipulated by algorithms and artificial intelligence that have replaced genuine human interaction. The flood of bots, automated content, and recycled information has drained the vibrancy of what was once a dynamic space for creativity and expression. But it's not just the content we consume that's being manipulated, it's our very relationship with the internet. We've become the product, our attention sold to the highest bidder, and our behavior shaped by forces beyond our control. From its origins as a tool for global communication and research during the Cold War, the internet was supposed to break down borders, empower individuals, and foster an era of free exchange. But greed has always crept in. The infrastructure became controlled by a handful of monopolies, and as the years passed, the internet evolved into a commercialized ecosystem where access was mediated by a few corporate giants, shaping our digital experience according to their interests. The birth of smartphones and apps turned the internet from a vast, open network into a siloed, closed-off environment. and with it came the rise of a new breed of content, automated, mass-produced, and ultimately soul-sucking. As the internet grew, so did its ability to shape the world. By 2010, the web was largely controlled by just a few companies. By 2023, nearly half of all internet traffic came from bots, automated systems that engage with content to artificially inflate popularity, generating a false sense of interaction. What was once a vibrant space for personal expression has now been flooded with artificial noise, so much so that genuine human-to-human interaction feels like a rarity. But the consequences are far more insidious than that. The dead internet theory, the idea that we've become trapped in a dystopian bot-controlled reality, hasn't just remained in the realm of conspiracy, it's fast becoming a cold, hard truth. As generative AIs like ChatGPT continue to advance, they increasingly take over the roles of creators, pushing us further into a world where human creativity is just another cog in the machine. We're no longer engaging with the internet. We're being herded, nudged, and manipulated into consuming the content that the algorithms deem appropriate. We're bombarded with content that isn't designed to inform or engage, but to keep us hooked, to fuel the addiction to likes, views, and shares that drive this digital economy. We've built a system where originality is rewarded not with creativity, but with imitation. The cycle repeats, faster and faster, until the unique, the original, and the human become extinct. We're no longer the creators. We're the consumers of content created by algorithms for the purpose of making us consume more. In this world, truth is a casualty. Facts get blurred, distorted, and twisted in the race for engagement. We're left with a digital landscape that is as shallow as it is vast. AI-generated content floods search engines, distorting our ability to find trustworthy information, and it's only getting worse. With each new iteration, the content created by AI is increasingly indistinguishable from that of humans. But in the end, what's the value of content that doesn't originate from human experience? What happens when the stories, ideas, and knowledge we share are just echoes of an artificial mind? We are standing at a crossroads, at a moment where we can choose to continue down this path of algorithmic control, where humanity's voice is drowned out by the relentless tide of AI-generated noise, or we can wake up to the reality that something needs to change. The internet is not beyond saving, but it's going to require us to break free from the herd, to demand more than the hollow, formulaic content we're being fed. It's time to reclaim the internet. It's time to return to a space where truth, creativity, and genuine human connection can thrive once again. The question is, are we willing to fight for it before it's too late?